Have you ever wondered why the Savior of the world, with the most urgent mission in human history, spent 30 years in total obscurity before he ever performed a single public miracle? Think about that for a second. If anyone had a reason to hurry, if anyone had a deadline, it was him. Yet, for 3 decades, he worked with wood. He walked dusty roads. He lived a quiet life. He didn't rush the process. We live in a world that screams, now. You feel it, don't you? The pressure to have it all figured out by 25, to be successful by 30, to see instant results from your prayers. We treat silence from heaven like it's a denial. We treat waiting like it's a punishment. And when we look at our phones and see everyone else's highlight reels, the promotions, the relationships, the breakthrough moments, it's so easy to feel like we are falling behind. It's easy to feel like God has forgotten the plans He made for you. But what if I told you that the delay you are frustrated with right now isn't an accident? What if the immediate gratification trigger, that itch to have the blessing before the battle, is actually the very thing keeping you from your purpose? There is a profound secret hidden in the quiet years of Jesus' life. It is a principle that goes completely against the grain of our modern culture, but it is the key to unlocking a spiritual power that doesn't just fade away when the excitement dies down. It's about understanding the difference between a transaction with God and a transformation by God. We are going to walk through this together today. We are going to look at how Jesus defeated the temptation to take the shortcut and how you can do the same. Because I believe God is doing something deep in you, something that requires time, just like a seed needs time in the dark soil before it breaks the surface. If you are tired of the hustle, if you are exhausted by the pressure to make it happen right now, and you want to learn how to walk in the steady, unhurried rhythm of grace, I invite you to join us here. Subscribe to this channel, not just to watch another video, but to become part of a community that is choosing to trust God's timing over the world's timeline. If you want to find peace in the waiting room of life, click that button and let's walk this path together. You don't have to carry that urgency alone anymore. Now, let's go back to the wilderness. Let's go to Matthew chapter 4. I want you to really visualize this scene because often we read the Bible like a history textbook, skimming over the details. But I want you to feel the dust. I want you to feel the heat. Jesus has been fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. The scripture says, quite simply, he was afterward and hungered. That feels like the understatement of the century, doesn't it? His body was screaming. Every cell in his physical frame was demanding relief. He was at his absolute weakest point physically.
And isn't that exactly when the enemy shows up? He doesn't usually come when you're on the mountaintop, surrounded by friends, feeling full of faith. He comes when you're alone. He comes when you're tired. He comes when you've been waiting for a job offer for 6 months, or when you're lonely on a Friday night, or when the medical test results are taking too long. He waits for the hunger. So the tempter comes to Jesus and says, "If thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread." Now look at the anatomy of that temptation. It wasn't a sin to eat. Jesus needed to eat. Eating is good. The temptation wasn't about doing something inherently evil. It was about doing something right at the wrong time and in the wrong way. It was a temptation of immediate gratification. The enemy was essentially saying, look, you have a need. You have the power to fix it. Why suffer? Why wait? Just fix it now. Use your power to serve yourself instantly. It's the same whisper we hear. You're lonely? Text that person you know isn't good for you. It'll fix the loneliness for tonight. You're stressed financially? Put it on the credit card. Worry about it later. Just get the relief now. You're feeling empty? Scroll for 3 hours. Numb the pain. It's the lure of the shortcut. But Jesus answers with something profound. He quotes Deuteronomy, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God." He was drawing a line in the sand. He was saying that his spirit was in charge of his body, not the other way around. He knew something that we often forget in our rush for relief. He knew that the process of the wilderness was doing something for him that the relief of the bread could never do. See, there is a principle here that I think is the missing link for so many of us. It's the difference between a created thing and a becoming thing. If I want to build a table, I can go out, buy the wood, cut it, and nail it together in an afternoon. That's a transaction. I put in labor, I get a table. But if I want to grow an oak tree, I can't hack that. I can't rush that. I can't scream at the acorn to hurry up. I have to plant it, water it, and then, here is the hardest part, I have to trust the process in the dark. Jesus understood that his life here wasn't just a series of tasks to check off. He wasn't just here to do the atonement at the very end. He was here to experience mortality. He was here to descend below all things so that he could comprehend all things. If he had turned those stones to bread, he would have satisfied his hunger, yes, but he would have bypassed the discipline. He would have missed the opportunity to submit his physical will to the Father's spiritual timing. He would have taken the shortcut. And here is the hard truth I need to share with you, friend to friend. The devil offers shortcuts because he knows that shortcuts bypass growth. He knows that if he can get you to take the easy way out, the instant gratification route, you will never develop the spiritual muscles you need to carry the weight of glory that God has prepared for you.
You see, God isn't just trying to get you to heaven. That's too small of a goal. He is trying to get heaven inside of you. He is trying to change your very nature. He's trying to expand your soul, to stretch your capacity to love, to trust, and to endure. And that kind of expansion, it hurts. It takes time. It requires the wilderness. The enemy took Jesus up to a high mountain next. He showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory, and he said, "All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me." Think about that offer. Jesus came to be the King of Kings, right? That was his destiny. Satan was offering him the kingdom without the cross. He was offering the prize without the price. You can have it all right now, Jesus. No suffering, no Gethsemane, no Calvary. Just bow down once, just a little compromise, and it's yours instantly. It is the ultimate appeal to immediate gratification. Get the title without the training. Get the blessing without the burden. But Jesus said, "Get thee hence, Satan." Why? Because he knew that a crown gained without a cross is meaningless. He knew that you cannot truly appreciate the light unless you have walked through the darkness. He knew that the wait wasn't a delay, it was the way. I know some of you are in that waiting period right now. You're doing the right things, you're praying, you're trying to live a good life, but the breakthrough isn't coming. And you're watching other people who maybe aren't even trying to walk with God, getting the kingdoms of the world. They're getting the promotions, the relationships, the easy life. And the enemy is whispering to you, just compromise a little, just cut a corner, just take the bread. I want to tell you, hold on. Do not trade your birthright for a bowl of soup. Do not trade your eternal destiny for a moment of temporary relief. There's a deeper theology at play here, something that explains why the silence is necessary. We're going to dive into the deep end now. We're going to look at what is actually happening to your soul while you are waiting, and why the immediate is actually the enemy of the infinite. We'll get to that in a moment. You know, there's a verse in Hebrews that says Jesus learned obedience by the things which he suffered. Have you ever stopped to really chew on that? He was perfect, he was sinless, and yet he still had to learn. He still had to go through the curriculum of suffering. If the Son of God could not skip the class, what makes us think we can graduate without doing the coursework? This brings us to the core of the problem with immediate gratification. When we demand the blessing right now, we are essentially telling God, I want the product, but I don't want the process. But here is the deep theological truth that changes everything. God is not a vending machine. He is a father.
A vending machine is transactional. You put in the coin, your prayer, your good deed, your church attendance, and you expect the candy bar to drop. And if it gets stuck, you get angry, you shake the machine, you feel cheated. But a father is transformational. A father doesn't just want to give you things, he wants to raise you. He wants you to grow up. If a 5-year-old asks for the keys to the car, a good father says no. Not because he's stingy, not because he doesn't want the child to drive eventually, but because he loves the child too much to give them power they aren't ready to handle. The no is actually a form of protection. The wait is actually an act of love. I believe that before we ever came to this earth, we understood this. I believe that somewhere deep in your spirit, there was an echo of a time when you shouted for joy at the opportunity to come here. And you didn't shout because you thought it would be easy. You shouted because you knew it would be necessary. You knew that you had gone as far as you could go in the safety of heaven, and that to become like your Father, you needed to come down into the trenches. You needed a body. You needed opposition. You needed to walk by faith, not by sight. The secret source of your strength comes from remembering who you really are. You are not a temporary biological accident fighting for survival. You are an eternal being having a temporary human experience. You have divine DNA coursing through your spiritual veins. And because of that heritage, you were built for hard things. When you feel that urge to quit, to cave in, to take the shortcut, that is the flesh talking. That is the biological part of you that craves safety and comfort. But the spirit craves growth. Think about a chick breaking out of an egg. It's a struggle. It's a fight. If you were to come along and say, "Oh, let me help you," and you peeled away the shell, that chick would die. Why? Because the struggle to break the shell is what forces the blood into its wings. The resistance is what creates the strength to fly. Immediate gratification is you asking God to peel the shell for you. And God, in His infinite mercy, often says, "I love you too much to do that. I love you too much to leave you weak." The devil wants you weak. That's why he offers the bread now. He knows that if you never learn to tell your body no, you will never have the spiritual authority to tell the mountains in your life to move. Jesus beat the trigger because he had a longer view. He saw past the hunger of the moment to the glory of the future. The scripture says, "For the joy that was set before him endured the cross." He didn't enjoy the cross, he endured it. Why? Because of the joy set before him. He had a vision of the finish line. You need to get a vision of your finish line. You need to understand that the person God is crafting you into is worth the wait. The version of you that can handle the blessing, the version of you that can sustain the success, the version of you that can lead your family through the storms, that version is being forged right now, in the silence, in the delay, in the frustration. So, here is the line in the sand.
We are at a crossroads right now in this video. You have a choice. You can keep playing the victim, asking, "Why me? Why is this taking so long?" You can keep looking for the shortcuts, the hacks, the easy way out. Or you can decide right here, right now, to embrace the process. I want you to make a covenant with yourself, a solemn promise, not that you'll be perfect, not that you won't ever feel the hunger or the pain, but that you will stop negotiating with the enemy. Decide that you will no longer trade your peace for a moment of pleasure. Decide that you will trust the architect of your soul more than you trust your own timeline. When you draw that line,
When you say, "God, I don't care how long it takes, I am not moving until you say move. I am not eating the stone bread. I am waiting for the manna." That is when the enemy gets scared, because a person who cannot be bought with immediate pleasure is a person who cannot be defeated. But how do we actually do this? It's one thing to say, trust the process, but what does that look like on a Tuesday morning when your alarm goes off and you're exhausted? What does it look like when the temptation is staring you in the face? We need a strategy. We need practical tools to de-escalate the trigger when it fires. The first step is what I call the holy pause. Here is the science of it. When you get triggered, whether it's the urge to look at something you shouldn't, the urge to buy something to feel better, or the urge to lash out in anger, your brain is hijacked by chemistry. It's moving fast. It demands an answer now. Jesus didn't debate Satan. He didn't enter into a dialogue about the nutritional value of stone bread. He halted the momentum. Next time you feel that pull, I want you to physically stop. Freeze. Give yourself a 10-second buffer. In that space, you are taking your power back. You are stepping out of the river of emotion and onto the bank of reason. You are telling your body, "I hear you, but you are not the captain of this ship." In that pause, you have to do the second thing. You have to replace the narrative. Jesus responded to every single temptation with 3 words: "It is written." He didn't fight the devil with his feelings. He fought him with facts. He fought him with truth. Most of us try to fight temptation with willpower. We grit our teeth and say, "I won't do it, I won't do it." And usually we end up doing it. Why? Because willpower is a muscle that gets tired. Truth is an anchor that holds. You need to have your "it is written" ready before the battle starts. If you struggle with anxiety and the need for control, you need a specific promise from God locked and loaded in your mind. If you struggle with lust, you need a verse about the sacredness of your body ready to fire. You can't go looking for your sword when the enemy is already swinging at your head. You have to carry it with you. And the third step? Play the tape forward. Immediate gratification works because it blinds you to the future. It puts a spotlight on the pleasure of the next 5 minutes and blacks out the regret of the next 5 days. When the urge comes, ask yourself one question. And then what? Okay, I eat the bread. Then what? I feel full for an hour. Then what? I realize I betrayed my purpose. I feel small. I feel distant from God. I have to start over. Force your brain to look at the hangover, not just the party. Force yourself to feel the weight of the regret before you make the mistake. Usually, the reality of the consequence is enough to kill the fantasy of the pleasure. Now, I need to speak to the person who is listening to this and thinking, "That sounds great, but I've already failed. I messed up this morning, I messed up yesterday, I'm too far gone." Listen to me closely. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is direction. If you're hiking up a mountain and you trip and fall face first into the mud, you don't roll all the way back down to the bottom and sleep in the car. You get up, you wipe the mud off, you orient yourself back to the trail, and you take another step. The enemy wants you to think that one slip-up ruins the whole journey. He wants you to think that because you aren't perfect, you aren't worthy of the process. That is a lie. God is not standing over you with a clipboard marking down every failure with a red pen. He is standing at the finish line, cheering you on. And when you fall, He isn't angry, He is eager. He is eager to help you up. He is eager to wash you off. The immediate gratification of shame is just another trap. Wallowing in guilt is easy. Getting up and believing you are still a child of God, that takes courage. That takes faith. Do not let your past failures dictate your future possibilities. The sun came up this morning, which means God's mercies are new. Your history is not your destiny.
We're coming to the end of our time together, and I have a challenge for you. Something simple, but something that might just change the way you see your entire life. Here is the challenge. I want you to try something with me.
I want you to pick one thing, just one thing, that you turn to for immediate relief. Maybe it's checking social media the second you wake up. Maybe it's that sugary snack at 3 p.m. Maybe it's the need to vent and complain to a coworker when things go wrong. Identify your stone that you want to turn into bread. And for the next 24 hours, I want you to fast from that one specific thing. Not to punish yourself, but to prove to yourself who is in charge. Every time you feel the urge to do that thing, I want you to use that hunger as a bell. Let the craving ring a bell in your soul that says, I am hungry for something more than this. Use that moment to say a 10-second prayer. Father, I am empty. Fill me with something that lasts. It sounds small, but if you can be faithful in this little thing, you are training your spirit for the big things. You are building the spiritual architecture that can hold the weight of your destiny. Listen, I know the waiting room is quiet. I know it's dark. I know you feel like everyone else is moving forward while you are standing still.
But remember the seed. To the outside world, a seed buried in the dirt looks like it's dead. It looks like it's been buried. But the farmer knows the truth. It hasn't been buried. It's been planted. You are not buried. You are planted. And the pressure you feel, the darkness pressing in on all sides, that isn't the end of you. That is the environment required for your shell to break. That is the pressure required for your roots to go down deep, to find the living water that doesn't depend on the weather up above. God is trusting you with this silence. He is trusting you with this delay. He sees a strength in you that perhaps you don't even see in yourself yet. He knows that you are the kind of person who can choose the long road. Jesus waited 30 years for 3 years of ministry, and those 3 years changed the entire course of eternity. Don't rush the 30 years. Don't rush the preparation, because when your moment comes, and it will come, you want to be ready. You want to be solid. You want to be the kind of oak tree that no storm can knock over. You can do this. You were built for this. So take a deep breath, put down the stone, trust the Father, and keep walking. You are not alone on this journey. We are walking it with you. I'll see you in the next video.